Welcome to the Latin Wealth Podcast, a podcast dedicated to educating the Latino community about entrepreneurship, investing, and business.
Yo, what's going on, Latin Wealth family? Welcome to another episode to Wealth Wednesday, a new weekly show released every single Wednesday where we will be focusing on, trending topics, trending news from a Latino perspective. And today we're diving into some pretty good topics. We're diving into number one, how to attract the things that you want in life and how to live the life that you want to live. We're also going to be talking about UPS and the Teamster union. They recently just reached an agreement to raise wages for workers that are at UPS right now. So pretty interesting stuff. And we're also going to talk about the current state of Latino entrepreneurship. There was an article that just came out and they highlighted like 7 different points that good, some positive, some negatives from a recent survey. So we're going to take out a couple of those points and discuss them. But with that being said, Jeremiah, how you doing today, bro?
I'm blessed, bro. Blessed, man. It's Wealth Wednesday, so we got people that are tuning in, and just want to say off top, I'm feeling good, but I appreciate everybody that tunes in, everyone that shares, everyone that likes, subscribes. Thank you guys.
100%, 100%. And we appreciate you guys a lot. So with that being said, if you could do us a huge favor and share this episode with at least 3 people that needs to hear this information. We say it every week because it's very, very important information. It's very important that we keep our community educated, right? I was just having a conversation with somebody and I was like, yo, it is so hard to find like positive news about our community out there. Like Jeremiah, we're searching and trying to find articles to review and whatnot. And it's tough. It's tough out here. So we're doing our part in highlighting, the positive things that are going on in our community and things that are related to business and entrepreneurship. And you tell me a platform that's doing that for the Latinos. So go ahead and share this episode with at least 3 people and let's get into it today. So with that being said, I mentioned the first thing that we wanted to talk about today is attracting the things that you want in life or attracting the life that you want. And this is a conversation that Jeremiah and I have had off camera. And he's mentioned he has experience with manifesting different things in his life. So I really want to have a conversation on what does it even mean to manifest the things in your life? It sounds like some spiritual, like voodoo type stuff. That's not the case here, but Jeremiah, talk to us about your experience with, just attracting the things that you want in life, manifesting the things that you want to happen.
Appreciate it, Chris. So honestly, I have some points, and there's 7 points that we're going to talk about, but I just want to talk about myself. Started off the things that I've experienced and maybe give, some relatability to some people, and hopefully they can feel it. If anybody's ever been in tough situations, or if you've ever had, maybe some circumstances that maybe even you don't have control over, just the way you grow up, the way things happen. But then, you have that strong belief system and you just know, and you just feel it, that you're going to be in a better position. And you just know if you put forth the effort and you keep believing, then things are going to turn out. Well, I'm a prime example of that. As we've spoken on before, if you guys have ever seen my interview with Chris, initially how we got started on the Latin Wealth, the Friday interviews, right? Which, by the way, make sure you plug it into those, great interviews. But that's how we got started. And if you ever watch that, then you'll hear my story that I didn't grow up in the best of circumstances. And so I grew up in a very drug-infested, blah, 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 right? That background. And so just to say that there wasn't a lot of positive energy and there wasn't a lot of affirmations or people telling me that I could do anything. But I did believe it. I saw things and I knew that I wanted things. So what I started doing is, even at a young age, getting poster boards and cutting things out and posting it on there. And I never knew it was a vision board. I didn't even know what it was called. I just did it because that's what I wanted to do. And I wanted to see myself in those things. And I would sit and just imagine myself driving a nice car. I would see myself in the house on the hill. I would see myself with a beautiful wife and children, all these things. And today, to date, all of those things have occurred. But it's not just because obviously I sat and thought about it. Like, no, I had to put forth the work and stuff as well. So Chris, I think in so many cases, a lot of times, people get caught up in the, like you said, the hoodoo, like the voodoo stuff, like, like, oh, let me sit and think about it and I can with my mind power and all. Yes, that's 100% true. But let's be realistic and say that, you got to put in the work too. Now, I don't know how you feel about that, Chris. Does that make sense? I got 7 points, but I want to ask, like, do you think people get caught up in the whole like mysticism of it, but they're not really looking at the practical steps to get there?
100%. I'm a firm believer, and I'll let you hit on those 7 points. I'm a firm believer. If you can think of something, then you can do it.
100%.
Like if you have the creativity to think about it in your mind, whatever it is, I believe that's God telling you, like, yo, this is something you can do. You can potentially hit this level or whatever the case is. That's my belief. Now, like Jeremiah said, you're not going to just sit there and manifest $1 million or a #1 podcast by just sitting on the couch. No way. And with that being said, in the Bible, it says faith without works is dead. You got to put the work in. You got to take them steps. And we're not suggesting that you got to conquer Mount Everest right now. We said you got to take the steps, one step at a time. So I agree with you. And I think that, there's people out there that definitely get caught up in that. But, if you do have the mentality of like, yo, I have like these visions and these thoughts of doing phenomenal things, to me, that is an opportunity for you to act on those things and actually make them come true.
100%.
Make them come to the physical reality.
You said make them come to the physical reality. So that's something that people really got to focus on, man. It's not just so much of what you think. Like, yes, obviously you want to think it in your mind. There's an idea, right? There's a spark. You say, I want to do this, or you see something that you want, and then you internalize it, right, into your spirit. But then you have to go and you have to manifest and put forth the work possible. So number one thing, I'm going to give you guys 7 tips. Write them down, keep them. Hopefully this helps you out. But number one is set clear intentions. Okay. You want to make sure that you are very clear, crystal clear on everything that it is that you want. Be specific. Be clear. Don't let it be vague. Maybe I kind of want. No, be clear. Know exactly the color. If you want that car, what color do you want? What color leather is going to be in the side of it? Right? Is it stick shift? Is it automatic? Is it what type of rims comes on? Like all these different things. Be specific with what you want, with your manifestations. Number two is you have to visualize it. Once you're clear and you know what it is, you know the way you want it, visualize yourself in that thing. If it's a car, visualize yourself driving that car. Like I literally just close my eyes right now and I can see myself, right? There's that, whatever it is, it's that Urus, it's that, I don't care if it's a Camry. See yourself in it and imagine the color. Feel yourself holding the wheel. Do that, right? That's visualization. Whatever it is, if it's that house, see yourself walking into the house with the double spiral staircase, whatever that is. Visualize it. Number 3 is positive affirmations. You tell yourself and call out loud that you're going to achieve these things. And you say, I am grateful. I'm happy that I just blah, 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 that I just walked into my brand new house, that I just deposited $50,000 into my bank account today, and I make $100,000 this week. Whatever it is, you got to create those positive affirmations. Say them out loud, right? Number 4 is having a spirit of gratitude. You want to make sure that before, right? So the preeminent thing before, or what the seed that creates whatever comes after, which is the manifestation, is you already being happy for it. You have to move in that spirit that you already have gratitude, that you're already feeling it. You're happy for it already, right? So that's going to open the doors for it to come in. And then the next thing is number 5 would be believe and trust. Believe in what it is that you just stated, the process that you just created, and trust that it's going to happen. Trust yourself, trust in your feeling, trust and believe you. I'm not telling religiously, however, whatever you believe in it though, and trust that it's going to happen. If it's the universe, make sure the universe, if it's God, make sure, so trust that it's going to happen. Number 6 is take inspired action. That's when we said you got to get up and you got to move. Create that plan, right? Go and take the necessary steps. If you said you're going to have $100,000 in a week, well, unless you're winning the lottery, what do you have to do? You have to go and create a business. So what is that idea and how are you going to cultivate that? How are you going to market it? How are you going to do those things? Take those steps, go and create it. Number 7, and lastly, this is the last point, stay patient. And so many times we say we want it in our time, right? We were just speaking about delayed gratification. This is how everything ties together. You see the way we're building it, right? And so you want to go and you want to have something come instantly, but maybe that's not good for you. Maybe this isn't the timing for it to occur, because you have to wait and build yourself until you've developed as a person enough to handle whatever blessing it is that is getting bestowed upon you. So stay patient. So those are the 7 steps. Don't want to throw you to death, but hopefully those 7 things are things, and these are things that I practice. These are things I'm still having to work on. I want you guys to know I'm human. Chris is human. We talk about this all the time. There's times we have to lean on each other, and I say, hey, Chris, bro, I'm feeling like this. Chris says, hey, bro, I feel this way. We're still having to go through these steps and process these things together. And so outside of this, what I'll tell you, and the last thing about manifesting, I'll give it back to my man, Chris, so we can get going. But guys, make sure you're in a circle. Chris said this last week. Make sure you're in a circle of people, right,
100%.
that are strong and that support you in your manifestations and support your vision, right? Because if you're around dream killers, they'll always kill your dreams, and it's not long before you'll let your dream die. That's it, man. So, Chris, what you think, bro?
Ooh, I say that's it. I say I'll see y'all next week. That's what I'll say about that. No, that was phenomenal. I love that you gave 7 very, very practical steps. Like Jeremiah said, we're actively working on them every single day. You mentioned one of the steps about gratitude. And I mean, that's one of the things I do every single day when I wake up. When I'm in my car driving to the gym, I have like a list on my phone of things that like I want to bring, like I want to manifest in my life. And some of these things I don't have yet. And I'm speaking to them like I don't have them yet. Does that make sense? So I'm saying
no. Repeat it. You don't have them yet. You know, that's what you said.
Yet. Yeah. So it takes time. You know, so I'm speaking to them like I am a successful podcaster.
That's right.
I am a successful investor and so forth. So I have a whole list that I literally repeat to myself on my way to the gym. By the time I get to the gym, like I'm done. I'm ready to go in there. So I love that you brought that up. And I also love that you brought up visualization, because not only you can just sit there and visualize you in that car, but man, go to the, you know what I'm saying? Go to the Tesla dealership and go sit in that car. Go test drive it.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? Whatever it is, go to that open house and act like you have what it takes to purchase his home. Walk in there like God sent you in there.
That's right.
And yes, you may not have it yet, but absolutely, like take those steps, whether it's like, yo, go eat at a nice restaurant and get that feeling of like, yo, this is nice to do this once a month. How do I do this once every week? How do I do this every day? Or if that's what you want to do, right? So stepping into maybe that boundary, if it's a little uncomfortable to, you know, drive a Lamborghini and, you know, you can't afford it just yet. People but they may not know that, right? So I think it makes it that much more powerful if you are physically interacting with that thing.
And this isn't a fake it until you make it type thing. I need people to understand.
100%.
This is an actual belief system. This is you believing. If anybody's watched The Secret, there's so many different things about the laws of attraction and things like that, right? But I just want you to understand this isn't a fake it till you make it. This is I'm willing to put in the work. I believe that it's going to happen because it's inevitable.
Yeah.
Right? I'm not faking anything. I know that I'm going to be this. And the only thing between myself and that person that I dream to be or aspire to be is just time. And that time is going to elapse regardless, right? And so I don't know how much time that is, but I'm going to keep doing those actions and putting forth the effort and the belief and showing that gratitude, right? Just being happy to be alive and to be able to maneuver and come up with plans, and you're just happy to be able to do it. So
yeah, 100%. And if you're in the science side of it, I would highly recommend you go check out Dr. Andrew Huberman. I think that's how you pronounce his name. But if you go on YouTube, he has so many different videos. He's a neuroscientist, and he breaks down like how the law of attraction connects to science and all that. And it's an actual real thing. It's not just the voodoo stuff, the spiritual stuff. It's like an actual thing. So if you're into the science aspect of it, there's a lot of like scientific jargon when he speaks, but it's very interesting to hear like, yo, this stuff is real.
I love it.
Dope. Moving along, we want to hit on UPS. All right, yes, the folks that have been delivering your package for many, many years, UPS and Teamsters. So Teamsters is the name of the union that they are associated with, and they have reached a tentative agreement last Tuesday on a 5-year labor contract that will raise the base wage of UPS workers. All right, so some quick points before we have a discussion about it. Existing full and part-time UPS workers will get a $2.75 per hour raise in 2023. And over the course of 5 years, they're going to get about $7.50 more per hour. Existing part-time workers will be raised immediately to no less than $21 per hour. Existing part-time workers will also receive a 48% average total wage increase over the next 5 years. We just spoke about that. What else? Wage bumps for full-time employees will bring the average top rate to $49 an hour. So the reason why they came to this agreement is because, the workers, in a nutshell, they weren't having it. They wanted some new things implemented into their work environment, and they were actually planning on going on strike 1 week before they reached an agreement, which would have been very interesting to see. I know actually a lot of the workers, they didn't necessarily want to go on strike, but they were willing to do it if they had to. So one other thing I'll mention, I don't know if you looked into this, Jeremiah, but the stock dipped the day that they announced that from $190 to $184 that same day. And currently it's hovering around $182 for one stock of UPS.
And that's solid because, all-time highs and stuff like that, people look at that. The dip is when you buy stuff, but we could get into the actual motivations and the factors that actually cause the dip and whether it's a good dip to actually buy into, because not all dips are great to buy into, right?
Yeah, we spoke about that last week.
Yeah. Some things are just not something that you actually want to invest in. Let's look at this. The Teamsters, they were formed in 1903. Anybody that knows the history behind the Teamsters, Jimmy Hoffa, it's a whole bunch of, it's a big whole thing, right? The Teamsters themselves are almost like a mob when it comes to, they get what they want, basically, right? The Teamsters have been around forever. They support so many things. And I'm glad that they didn't strike because, like you said, a lot of the drivers don't want to, but then they would have. But let's talk about the results of it. I'm happy that they did. Happy that they got the deal done. Super happy for the drivers and everything that they got some things added or some additional pay. But I want people to start thinking about the logistical, effects of this deal happening. What ends up happening is your postage and shipping goes up. People understand that, right? Because they have to pay the drivers additionally. And so however many drivers it is, you're going to see that ripple effect throughout the shipping costs. Logistically, companies that send out a large volume of, cases and boxes and all these things, see now USPS, they're going to have to actually, UPS, they're going to have to sit down and they're going to have to actually look and see what is more affordable. So now companies that have maybe just always had that contract with them, now you have to sit back and start looking at your logistical overhead and see, if you can shave off 5-10 cents on each box, but you send out massive amount of boxes, just think about it. It's a massive amount of money. Or people start to go toward Amazon. And so I need you to think about all the different ramifications of just a shift of paying, drivers additional $2. It's more than just paying them the $2. You're like, oh, they have surplus, they can pay them. No, but how they do that is, right, because that surplus is for the stockholders. And so what they do is they go and increase your shipping costs. And so I'm actually super curious to see how this plays out with a lot of the major companies. I know a lot of companies use FedEx and stuff like that, but the companies that have these contracts, I think it'll be interesting because now you start to see some more competition occur.
100%. How do you think it'll affect the job market? So UPS is known for hiring, a bunch of people throughout the year, and especially during the holidays and whatnot.
Sure.
If they're raising everybody up by $2.75, are workers going to have to work harder because there's not as many people in there? Like, what do you think that's going to look like?
I believe that that was the trade-off, right? So you guys wanted to get the additional funds, and so when it comes to seasonal helpers or temporary staffing, it's not going to be as much of that, and so you're going
Mm,
to have to work longer hours in order to be as efficient or to be more efficient. Because now, if there's added cost to the shipping, right, then what are they saying? And they're going to be like, okay, you guys got to work longer. You got to
mm,
make us more efficient because we're charging for it. So we don't want to lose customer base, market share. So I think that, it's a slippery slope. That's why I'm actually super interested, because the balance between the amount that you're paid and in the work hours, it's gonna be, we're coming into that season too, because
mm. Yeah.
it'll be coming up. So holiday season's coming up. So we'll see.
Yeah. Fun fact, I did work at UPS when I was like 21 for the
Okay.
holidays. Yeah, and it was no joke. Yeah.
I believe it. I
I
mean,
wouldn't
it,
wish that on anybody.
it's like, if you know how Amazon is daily,
Yeah.
they're like quotas and on people, like that's how it
Yeah.
is. But it's probably like five times that, because it's Christmas time and it's just like
Christmas time.
slaying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh. Yeah. And this is, by the way, this is a tentative agreement. So I think they're going to be voting on this from August 2nd to August 22nd. So we'll keep an eye on it, see what happens. I think everybody's pretty confident that's going to go through. But very, very interesting stuff here.
Oh, for sure.
Yep. Yep. With that being said, transitioning into our last topic, which I'm pretty interested to talk about this, the current state of Latino entrepreneurship. So in February, Stanford Graduate School of Business launched its yearly State of Latino Entrepreneurship report. And so this report is basically focusing on the economic impact and challenges that Latinos owned business owners face in the United States. So again, we're gonna pull out a couple of these. There's 7 of them that they hit on. I don't know if we'll have time to hit on all of them. Jeremiah, feel free to pull out any of them if you do. But
Okay.
um, the first one that I wanted to pull out, I think it's actually the first one on the list, is Latino-owned business owners are growing at a faster rate than white-owned business owners, right? From the year 2007 to 2019, the number of Latino-owned businesses grew by 34%, while white-owned businesses decreased by 7%. So I thought this was really interesting. And they said even yeah, so I thought it was very interesting. The first thing I thought of when I seen those numbers, I thought of it's like that because out of necessity. You
Yeah.
know what I'm saying? Like I feel like, white-owned business owners, I literally thought of like, okay, there's a lot more tech jobs. Um, you got these AI jobs and whatnot. They're getting these roles and they're not having to start their own businesses, opposed to Latinos anywhere in America. It's kind of like, yo, we have to sell something, we have to do something, or else how are we going to survive?
Most definitely. The
Yeah.
majority of us are, I mean, you and I mean, if you're from Puerto Rico, you don't have that issue, but every other, you know, um, Latin country, they have that issue. You're coming in as
Mm-hmm.
an immigrant. So
Mm-hmm.
it's difficult, man. And it's super hard to find jobs, and the language
For
barrier is
sure.
super strong as well. So yeah,
Yeah.
out of necessity. And then population. Population increase itself
True. True. Very true.
proportionately is just going to link to there being more Latino business owners, right? Because fastest growing group of demographic in the United States. So it just stands to reason.
100%. And the next one that they pointed out is Latino-owned businesses are more likely to seek financial funding compared to white-owned businesses. Um, they even said Latino-owned businesses are 50% more likely to request financing compared to white-owned businesses. Again, we kind of see this. We know this. There's not enough grants. There's not enough resources out there specifically for us, right? If you look at, there is like a monthly. I get like monthly grants that come into my inbox all the time, and a lot of the grants are really general and broad. There's not too many. Like there's women owned. There's women owned grants that you can apply at. There's black owned. There's I think Asian and Native Americans and so forth. But when it comes to like Latino opportunities and grants for us, it's very slim picking, very, very slim picking. So with that being said, now we're competing with everybody. We're competing with a bunch of different white-owned businesses, and maybe there's only a couple of us. So it's difficult. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. It's
That's on the
definitely,
grant side of it. I'm
that's
sure.
just one side. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I was just gonna say you're right. Like the overall thought process, and then there's the skill set, right, of even understanding how to write a grant or to apply for a grant, right?
Mm-hmm.
You have to go and actually know the different type of channels and how to apply for that. So paperwork, if it's in English, think about
Mm-hmm.
that. There's a language barrier even on the paperwork, on the actual
True.
application. So you have no idea how to, thoroughly apply to get that help. So
Mm.
it's rough, man. Different processes all the way through.
No, that's very interesting. Actually, I didn't think about that. They also mentioned in terms of marketing strategies, Latino-owned businesses use a wider array of approaches and social media platform compared to white-owned businesses to build awareness and expand their customer base. Now, I don't know if this is a negative or a positive. I just feel like, yo, we just doing whatever it takes to get us the customer. Like we reaching out, we doing everything. We using Pinterest, Twitter, we using everything to build our brand awareness and find customers and whatnot. What are your thoughts about this one?
I mean, at the end of the day, anybody's going to do. So if we back it up and we go back 200-300 years, right? When you have the Europeans that were coming and they were settling, at those times, the different groups and different demographics, they were doing the exact same thing. I mean, obviously it's different now because we have internet, but I
Mm-hmm.
mean, in terms of what they were using, propaganda, all the various things and ways to do it. So I just see us as being you know, at the point to where, like you said, you got to utilize what you have to utilize.
Mm-hmm.
If there's 200 to 300 years, almost 400 years of systems that have already been in place, right? For, the Caucasian Americans, right? If they already have a
Mm-hmm.
system that's in place, they call it the good old boy system, right? I know
Mm-hmm.
your uncle knows me, your uncle knows your cousin, da, 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 right?
Yeah,
And so they just move the money throughout each other. So
very true.
we don't have that system established. Maybe in the country that you came from, you did, but probably not, right? Because the poverty level was crazy, and so you come here for opportunities, and so you don't have that system. No one's offering you that hand to get into a system that's consistently going over, so you build it.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I see social media as being. It's a fair playing field, right? It evens the
Mm-hmm.
playing field. This says there's a niche for me, even if I just go on my country. If I'm Hondureño, then
Mm-hmm.
there's catrachos out there that speak my language that talk like me, and I can just market to them. If I'm
That's it.
Boricua, then I can go talk to them. Like it doesn't matter what you are. Social media is it levels the playing field. That's what I
A
like
hundred,
about
no, 100%. I will say one thing that a lot of, it's not even Latinos specifically, but a lot of business owners, what they do on social is you ask them like, who are you marketing to? Who is your target audience? And they say, well, everybody. And when you have that mentality of you marketing to everybody or trying to cast everybody in the net, you're going to actually end up capturing nobody.
it.
You're going to talk to
Nobody.
nobody. Yeah. So just the food for thought. If you're a business owner and you have that thought, like, yo, I'm marketing to everybody, you need to figure out specifically who your target demographic is. Who is that avatar? What does that person look like that shops with you or that buys your service or whatever the case is? That's very important.
The most successful people fully understand that there is always at least 100,000 people that are like you. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, what do you mean? Well, in your demographic, in your niche, even if you just had a group, a niche market of 200,000 people, you're like, there's, 350 million people in the United States, right? But you just need 200,000.
Mm-hmm.
And you're not going to even talk to those 200,000. If you just had a client base of 20,000, dude, you're a millionaire. I promise you.
For sure.
Like that's the
For sure.
thing. Depending upon the ticket of the item or whatever you're doing, right? The
A
services
hundred
you're
percent.
providing. But I mean, maxed out 50,000 people, bro. I promise you, you're a millionaire. So you don't even need millions of people. And so just focus in on what you do well, do it well, and then project it and portray and let people know how well you do it. So then you can attract. And then, like we said, use what we spoke on earlier with the manifestation, manifest your
Mm-hmm.
business being successful.
Love that. Wrapping this thing up, would you agree with the article? They basically said at the end, overall, the reports emphasize positive economic growth and resiliency from the Latino community. Would you agree with that?
I do agree, because no matter what happens, we're always going to find a way to make it happen.
There it is.
Just flat out. Yep. 100% agree. We will always make it happen. Look at what we've done. We're going to continue to grow. We're going to continue to push forward. Success levels are going to start to be better. So, as you start to move forward in generations, there'll be more generations that are here, more generations that are successful, and then we start building and connecting with each other. That's all we needed. So right now, the foundation is being laid. And then in the generations that are coming, you'll start to see it connect more. It'll lay out. Yep.
We coming. Watch out. We coming.
Just saying.
With that being said, another phenomenal episode. All the links to the article will be in the description of this podcast. And also remember, please share this episode with 2 or 3 people that needs to hear this conversation. All you got to do is hit those 3 little dots if you're listening to on Spotify, Apple. Hit that share button on YouTube and text it to 3 people, share it on Instagram, whatever you got to do. Let's get this message out to more people. And I think that's it. With that being said, it's a Latin Wealth family. We'll catch you guys next week. Peace.